Hi, Big Bear Association of Realtors. Robin Lee here, your AE. And today we're reporting on our NAR and CAR meetings for the spring. It's May Madness. Every year in May we have to go to both meetings back to back. So we're going to give you some reports on what we learned. And this year your directors are Mike Sanis, Nancy Arand, and Mickey Peterson. And Mike, as your president, is the one that goes with me to NAR in Washington, D.C. So with that, we're going to dive right into the reports, and I'm going to start with NAR in Washington, D.C. So we're going to start off, unfortunately, on a little bit of a negative foot. There's currently a class action lawsuit that's been filed against NAR, Realogy, Home Services of America, Keller Williams, and RE/MAX. The plaintiff states that the defendants conspire to drive up costs to sellers in a real estate transaction by demanding that the sellers pay excess commissions to buyers' brokers. They claim that this is a violation of the Antitrust Act, and they say that if buyers were to pay the buyers' brokers' commissions, that would cultivate a more competitive market that would benefit all. NAR combats the allegations, stating that they are baseless and that NAR has always promoted a competitive marketplace, and no MLS, real estate broker, nor NAR have ever fixed commission rates for all. A quote from NAR states that the U.S. courts have routinely found that multiple listing services are pro-competitive and benefit consumers by creating great efficiencies in the home buying and selling process. The market is extremely competitive to the benefit of buyers and sellers alike. You can read more about this and see a video online. If you go to foxbusiness.com and search NAR lawsuit, you'll find it there. Since the case was filed, 3 more have come up, and they're copycat cases. NAR has filed a motion to dismiss all of the cases. At the NAR Board of Directors meeting in DC, the board voted and approved an increase in their legal budget in the amount of $1.7 million, and that's to help fight these cases. If the dismissals aren't granted, this could really open the floodgates for more people to come in and file lawsuits, so we really want to see NAR prevail in this. The good news is there's no increase in dues to you, and the heavy-hitting NAR legal team is out there crushing it on your behalf. So let's just keep an eye on these suits and see where it goes. On a happier note, NAR has launched a program called Commitment to Excellence. It's an online program developed to help you sharpen your skills and knowledge in your profession. The program is based on core competencies that realtors should be proficient in. Once the competencies are completed online, you receive an endorsement. Professionalism within the industry is one of the biggest concerns among realtors, and NAR felt compelled to answer this call by launching this program. It's also known as C2X. C2X. Just kidding, that was silly. You can log into c2ex.realtor using your NAR login credentials to find out more and get started. I myself plan on logging in and trying to go through some of the assessments and see how it goes. But I encourage you to participate. On Capitol Hill in DC, we met with our Congressman Paul Cook, who we asked to help us with a few items. Some of the notable items were the National Flood Insurance Program, which was set to expire on May 31st, and a 4-month extension did pass the House while we were there, and it was set to move on to the Senate for their vote. And not only do realtors want this program to be given a long-term extension, but we also want some reform, including more accurate flood mapping and aligning insurance rates to risk. Another topic was tax policy, particularly the $10,000 SALT cap, which we're asking Congress to eliminate because it's punitive to high-cost states and is essentially a double taxation on the middle class. The average Californian lost over $6,000 in state and local deductions under this law. Okay, I'm moving on to California, our state meetings at CAR in Sacramento. And our legislative day meetings were a little different this year due to the great imbalance in our local state government. We have a super majority situation right now, and it's causing a bit of an uphill battle to get some of the legislation approved, denied, or amended in ways that support homeownership. Some bills that CAR and realtors would normally flat out oppose, we had to take a position of oppose unless amended, just to get a seat at the table to be able to discuss our position. If we were to flat out oppose it, we would have no power to come to the table and discuss, and the supermajority would not even take a look at what we're trying to talk about and just move on. Most of these proposed bills I'm referring to were related to rental housing and rent control. In the Standard Forms Committee, they discussed that 3 new forms were approved for release in June this year. CAR will also be releasing 13 forms revisions in June, including the buyer inspection waiver, the buyer inspection election, and the resident capacity signature disclosure forms. Gov told us that the new photo and video release form was created to prevent lawsuits from clients after using photos of them, their children, etc., without their consent. This is not to be mistaken with the PIA form, which you're highly cautioned to use every time you hire a photographer. If the photographer will not sign it, find a new one. They're out there, I promise. The risk management meeting is always very interesting, and I don't always get to go, but whenever I don't have a conflicting meeting, I do like to pop by. You get to hear local issues throughout the state. It seems that some of the top issues were TCs performing licensed activity while being unlicensed, wire fraud, coming soons, short-term rentals, which we're all very familiar with, and insurance issues, which sounds like is kind of an emerging hot topic. We know insurance is a big issue here, and we hope to be putting together a presentation for you soon, hopefully with the help of our local insurance agents, so just keep your eyes open for more information on that. So that's it for my CAR reports. Just remember that the resources are always out there for you. CAR.org has a lot of education opportunities, webinars, videos you can watch to keep yourself on top of things. Thank you very much for watching. Please remember that we do post these videos on our YouTube channel and our website, which is bbaor.com. You can watch it as a refresher or let your team members know that it's available there for them to see anything that they missed. Thanks again.
Hello everybody. Today I'm reporting on investment housing. We have 5 action items that I'd like to talk about. CARS is adopting a opposed unless amended on AB 1482, which places statewide cap on the amount of rent a homeowner can charge increase annually. And we also are taking an oppose unless amended on AB 481 and AB 1697, which prohibits a rental property owner from terminating the lease without just cause. That's obvious. We want to be able to have control over our property. Also, on AB 36, we're taking an opposed unless amended on that item, which modifies Costa-Hawkins Rental Housing Act. We're going to see this over and over and over again because everybody wants to amend Costa-Hawkins. It keeps coming up in different ways. They're going to try to work it in somehow, some way. We're also going to take a support position on SB 521, which establishes a tax credit for rental property owners for dwellings or units that are rented or leased to a person receiving assistance through Section 8. Also, for CARS, we are taking a watch position on AB 1110, which heightens the notice requirement for rental property owners of a resident dwelling with a month-to-month tenancy who increases the rent by more than 10%. Okay, that's it for investment housing. Now on to land use. We have 3 action items in land use. CARS wants us to take an opposing position on AB 38, which mandates fire hardening retrofits at point of sale certification for housing. They're trying to require everyone to have sprinklers throughout their house, and you have to have that installed in your home before you sell it. Obvious reasons why we're opposing that. CAR supports AB 1674 and AB 1318, both of which expand the definition of school facility to allow the use of school bond funds to construct on-site housing. This on-site housing is going to be for teachers or students, any kind of housing that can help the population. We take a population working in the school districts. Next, we are taking a support position on AB 1516, which enhances the defensible space requirements, including fuel reduction mandates within 5 to 30 feet and non-combustible zones within 5 feet of structures and compliance inspections. That's going to, also, we have 3 new CAR forms this year. One is for wildfires, which is going to affect all of us. So look through for that form when you're presenting a purchase agreement, so you can include that to your buyers that we are in a fire zone. Also, the trust advisory, there's a new form for that. And also for photography and taking any photos or drone pictures, there's a new form that you need to have your photographer fill out. That will conclude my reports.
Alrighty, I'm here to report on the Home Ownership Committee. And the first thing I'd like to report on is SB 330. It was the most extensive bill we discussed. And we took a position to support it if it's amended. And we would like to amend the deed restriction period. Right now it's set at 55 years for low-income housing, these low-income housing projects. We would like to see it reflect current deed restrictions, current law, which would be 45 years for owner-occupied properties and 55 years for rental properties. And this housing crisis, what it's called is the Housing Crisis Act of 2019, and it talks about streamlining the building of affordable housing, the moratorium of downsizing neighborhoods, which means if you have a multifamily zoning, cities can't turn it into single-family residential zoning. And this would go into effect for what they call affected cities and counties, those that have a lot of low-income people that need housing. One of the things that they also do is they are going to prohibit new caps on housing moratoriums and building and construction permits. And a ban on raising fees, increasing or enforcing parking minimums, and enacting costly design standards. Also a suspension of the collection of housing fees, and the cities and counties of these affected areas will have up to 12 months to approve these proposed housing development projects, or those that are seeking zone variances or conditional use permits or other discretionary entitlements. And the city or county would be limited to 3 hearings to reach a decision, so no more dragging these development processes to 2 or 3 years, which happens in some of these cities. So anyways, as I said, also cities and the Department of Housing and Community Development will determine the affected cities and counties by June 2020, and it will remain in effect until June 2025. Initially, this proposal was written to span 10 years, but I noticed on Monday that they had done some amendments already, and it's only going to be for a 5-year period. Other action items we had is that CAR Watch SB 5, and that proposes to establish the local state sustainable Investment Incentive Program. And what this does is it proposes to reduce local contributions to the Educational Revenue Augmentation Fund, the ERAF, and to fund affordable workforce housing programs. And SB 5 is asking to backfill the local ERAF accounts with state general fund. And number 3, let's see, the CAR opposed unless amended, SB 274. And what that does, it eliminates provisions regarding mobile home park management, and that to offer tenancy under the exact same terms and conditions that were in place prior to the destruction of a mobile home park. And this is in response to the fires, especially in Paradise, where they had a lot of low-income housing mobile home parks. And what they're trying to avoid is they have to rebuild these mobile home parks, put in new infrastructure, and they don't want to force these mobile home park owners to accept tenancy under the same terms and conditions that were there before they were destroyed. Also, we support SB 434, and that requires a managing agent for a homeowners association whose management agreement has been terminated to produce a client's physical property, manuals of operation of equipment, security gate transponders, and pool keys, and records, hard copy and electronically stored files within 30 days of a written request. So no more dragging that out as well. And we also seek to amend AB 587, and this is another mirror of the existing deed restriction and requirements, 45 years for owner occupied and 55 years for rental properties, instead of in perpetuity for the construction of an accessory dwelling unit by a nonprofit organization. So as it stands, they want to keep that in forever, that they have these deed restrictions, but we're asking for it to mirror local or the current legal requirements. And that's all I have. Thanks.
Hello, Mike Sanis, your MLS committee chairman. Just want to give you a quick report regarding MLS committee meeting at NAR recently that we attended. So there was only one action item that was approved, and I'll read it to you. Not a whole lot of business was done at the meeting, a lot of conversation, but the one action item reads as follows. The MLS may charge participants and subscribers not holding primary or secondary membership in a realtor association that owns the MLS a different amount than charged to members of the association, provided that such charge is reasonably related to the actual cost of serving those members. So that passed actually as written, just as read there. And really it just allows our any MLS basically to have different tiers for primary or secondary members. A little more flexibility with that, and that was it. So just a quick word regarding CAR and NAR. As I'm sure you're aware, we just got back from our legislative days in Sacramento and then off to Washington, D.C. for the NAR business meetings as well. I'll tell you, prior to attending and really understanding what goes on, really didn't have any idea on what a big effect our trade groups basically have on how we do our business day to day, and how the rights of real estate ownership are really protected throughout. It's a pretty impressive process, very interesting to witness these policy changes, and how much it really does affect each of our businesses day to day. Just as one example, President Trump came to speak to our group at NAR. That was really interesting for sure, as far as the power that we all have as part of CAR and as such part of NAR. It's pretty impressive to see how all that works, and it's really does have a big effect on all of our businesses day to day, and certainly the rights of real estate ownership. So if you're interested, please consider taking part in some of that. Thanks for your time. Bye.